All right, Total Trucker Wrestling Rehab. Shouts to all the junkies out there, man. We have a special one here today. I have a special guest coming on. He is a former WWE star. I've been waiting to talk to this man. I really have, man. Let's not waste any time. Just you guys hearing me pontificate. Let's go ahead and bring in the stylist, one Mr. Rico Constantino.
How's it going?
How you doing, sir?
I am doing wonderful.
Hey, listen, first of all, thank you so much for being on Wrestling Rehab. Welcome to Wrestling Rehab and taking time out of your day to be on here with us. So
Thank you.
definitely I remember your career. You definitely stood out, and I definitely want to get into a lot of that good stuff. But before we do that, Mr. Constantino, just tell us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? Your family, any siblings? Tell us a little bit about you and your childhood.
I was born in Las Vegas at Sunrise Hospital in 1961.
Mhm.
Lived here till I was about seventh grade. Mom and dad got divorced. I went with my dad. Ended up going to military school because I have ADD, and I was behind in, like, they called them units back then in junior high, and I needed to make up some units. And we lived in a small town in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and the military academy's out for the summer. And I went and did my classes so I could go to the eighth grade. And then I saw all these medals and ribbons and awards you could win. And I told my dad, listen, I want to go here. I want to go to school here. Plus, there were smaller classes and everything. And I started, and I ended up finishing junior high there, and then did my whole high school there. Graduated second in my class. But I was very small. I just
Okay.
my freshman year in high school, I was like 4'11", weighed 82 pounds. Because
Okay.
I used to wrestle.
Were you pretty athletic, would you say?
Athletic but small.
Okay.
My senior year, I played quarterback in football. I grew taller but skinny.
Yeah.
And I did wrestling. My first year was 98 class, the 105 class, 112, and then my senior year I was 119. I graduated at 119 pounds at 5'9". And then went to California, then moved back here to Vegas. And about 20 years old, I was 5'10" and a half, and I was like 126 pounds. Got into bodybuilding from my brother. I have a brother, a late brother, and a sister, and me. So we started working out and stuff like that, and then I got into it. And after a while, after a couple of years, I entered bodybuilding contests, NPCs. My first show, I took fifth place in Mr. Las Vegas. Then I went to the state, and took third, Mr. Nevada, and came back to the Vegas, and I took second. And then I went and moved to Florida, and then I was the heavyweight Mr. Gulf Coast near Fort Walton Beach. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I got shot 357, and then that kind of ruined the bodybuilding career.
Got you. Okay. Would you recommend military school?
Oh, I love it. Well, for me, having ADD or ADHD, because I'm a very focused person, and instead of, as you can see, I got a bit of, I guess, a splash of autism, because I got to be moving. I got to constantly move. I just can't sit still. But I used that ADD as a plus. I didn't count it as a negative in my life, and it makes you focus. That's probably something that you're focused too much, but I used it. If I ever when I got to CB radios, wham, I knew everything about CB radios. When I got in school, when I studied subjects, I don't know. It's helped me through my whole life, and you've read my background, and that's how I do things. Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
I've heard that saying since I was a little kid. Mind over matter. When I was a little kid, I didn't really understand it till I got a little bit older. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, don't mind, and it don't matter. So you just keep
That's
on
it.
pushing. You just keep on moving on.
Yeah.
So
And get through the naysayers. There's
yeah,
always be, oh, you're too small. You'll never do this, this, and that. I feed off that.
mhm,
When I tore my left quad in OVW,
mhm,
and Vince took care of it. He didn't have to, but he paid for my flight home, paid for the surgery, paid for the rehab, and I was just a developmental guy. So he did that, and the doctor here said, "Oh, you'll never wrestle again." I said, "What'd you say?" He said, "You'll never wrestle again." I said, "Oh, say it again. You'll never wrestle again." I said, "Say it again." And he goes, "Why? I just told you." I said, "Keep saying it. Keep saying it to me." And he did. And with the quad tear, 9 months later, or 6 months later, I was back at OVW wrestling.
Now, as a kid, were you a wrestling fan? When did you ever hear
Oh,
of
yeah.
wrestling? When did you ever take us through that journey? Were you ever a wrestling fan? And how did you actually say, okay, you know what? This is something that I think I want to do. You're talking about being in bodybuilding, so you definitely had the physique of it. But when was wrestling introduced into your life as a fan and also as getting into it?
Oh, as a fan. I mean, I remember watching the AWA with Rocky Johnson, Pat Patterson, the Sheik. I mean, that's old AWA days. I used to watch it Saturday morning religiously, so I was always a fan. Never thought I'd do it. So I was a fan, and the 80s, I love the 80s. Ultimate Warrior was my favorite. I was a mark for the Warrior,
Yeah.
not because of his wrestling talent, just because of the energy he brought.
Definitely.
It was that actually, that's me inside. I'm like that, shake the ropes and all that stuff. I just love the persona.
The character was definitely way overwhelming with energy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the Warrior.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to meet him a few times. When he was going by Jim Hellwig. I saw him in Arizona when I went at the AIM conference, the Athletes International Ministry conference with Larry Kerchuk. So I got to see him there. He let me hold his Intercontinental title. This is after I won American Gladiators and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've always been a fan of wrestling. I love the 80s version, where there was a heel side and a face side. There was not tweeners, and then later it got to tweeners, the in-betweeners.
Right.
So, then I went through my career getting Gladiators, and then I went to France and won their Gladiator show. I became a stuntman. I was in the Conan the Barbarian show at Universal Studios. I played Batman at Six Flags in Valencia. I was the Michael Keaton stunt Batman.
You were Batman and at Universal Studios at the show?
No, I was in the Conan show at Universal Studios.
Oh,
I was doing both. I was doing both
uh-huh.
Shows at the same time. I'd stop in Universal Studios, do a couple Conan shows, run up to Valencia, Six Flags, and do 5 Batman shows, come back down and do a couple more Conan shows. I'd sleep in my truck.
Right.
Yeah.
Were those good paying gigs or not really? I always kind of wondered, like, did these guys get paid pretty good?
Yeah, you got paid pretty good. I mean, you're not going to be a millionaire. You're not going to make 6 figures. But besides the money, it is what I had a passion for it. I just after the Gladiators, that kind of propelled me to do other things. Right. And I started doing acting and stuff like that. I was in a couple of movies. When I was in military school, if you ever want to see the school I went to, the movie Damien Omen 2 was filmed there. And I got to be an extra in that movie. So I guess it's coming out. It's on Netflix or Paramount or HBO Max.
On the Omen Part 2?
Damien Omen Part 2.
Yeah,
I was in there.
Really? The kid, the 666 kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when they went to military school, it was my military school they filmed at. So I got to be with William Holden, Lee Grant, John Hendrickson, Robert Foxworthy. You know, I got to be around all those people.
Okay,
So when
let's
I was 16.
wow, wow. Okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit about the American Gladiators. I was a huge fan of American Gladiators. By the way, I just saw not too long ago the documentary that was released on Netflix, which talked a lot about the inside
Muscles and Mayhem.
Yeah, Muscles of Mayhem. Yeah, great stuff, man. I definitely recommended it to my boy Richard, man. You know Richard. I said, hey, you got to watch this. It was such a great documentary, and everything that was going on in the background. You were not American Gladiator, but you were a contestant there. You beat Gemini on the jousting. That was crazy to see.
I was the first one to do that.
That was something else, man. And Gemini being so humble, I'm sure on the inside he was just like, "Damn it, this bastard!" But on the inside,
he is Mike Horton, wonderful guy. Actually, all of them, all the gladiators were great. Nitro and I had a tense moment one time. I was doing Powerball. I missed the thing, and he back German suplexed me after I didn't have the ball. And the referee said, "Okay, no score." And then after the show, after that event, I walked up to Dan and said, "Hey, whistle to whistle, do what you got to do." I said, "But after the whistle, you do that to me again, we're going." Wow. And then after that, Dan and I had a great relationship. Go ahead.
Was there any fights that nobody saw on camera? Because some of those competitions got pretty rough, man. I mean, I was just like, wow, man, this is probably even a little bit rougher than football. Like that one that you're talking about right there. You're not wearing shoulder pads. You're not wearing helmets for the most part. And some guys are getting German suplex backwards. And all.
But in my season, I was season 2. They counted the pilot season as season 1. I don't know why, but they did. And I was season 2, and I was 90-91 Gladiator champion. And like I said, it's a 10-hour day. Nobody realizes it's 10 hours.
Wow.
Because, they have to set up events, break them down. OSHA's got to inspect them. You break for lunch. So audiences that did the Universal tour, because it was at Universal Studios when I did it, they would filter in and out. Well, in my season, fans started to really like me out there. And they were Rico signs and everything else.
Yeah. I saw that.
And I had to, I got to dedicate that to my girlfriend at the time, Carolyn Matson. She was passing out 8x10s of me to the audience. She was like my PR lady. It's my son's mother.
Okay.
So, and I got a Rico Jr. So, so she would, when I was in the back or something like that, because they didn't have a locker room for us in season 2. We were under the bleachers. That was our spot.
Okay. So, and how'd you get into American Gladiators? How does one even say like, okay, you know what, this is what I want to be a part of. Let me go and be a contestant. I mean, this is before social media that you send in a pic and all that stuff. So how does one get into it?
They had a nationwide tryout. I think they went to 4 or 5 cities. There was like 15,000 people that tried out, all for 20 men and 20 women's spots. That was it. And I went to Universal Studios, and you had to do 25 pull-ups in 30 seconds. You had to win a tug of war. You had to run, the ladder line.
Okay.
You run, touch a line, go back, touch a further line, come back. You had to do a 5 line there. You had to win in a 40-yard dash. You had to do Powerball. Once you were on defense and the other one you were on offense, and then an on-camera interview. And then they pick from that. And Inside Edition, I think it was called, Inside Report, was there filming, and they were following me around. I was wearing yellow spandex with tiger stripes, so I stood out. And then I did the gladiator tryout, and then this little man come walking up to me, and he goes, "Listen, I want you to come over here." And I said, "What for?" He goes, "I want you to try out to be a gladiator." Because I was 218 pounds.
Right.
So I went through the gladiator tryout. Because
Okay.
they fired, from the first season, they fired Titan and Malibu. So they were going to replace 2 new gladiators.
Okay.
So I went there, and then after a few weeks, I got a letter saying, you did great at both, but we would like to have you as a contestant. And I went, hey, I don't care. And then I'll fast forward real quick. And after watching Muscles and Mayhem, I'm glad I didn't become a gladiator. And it'll come in a little bit later because they treated those guys like crap.
Right.
So took away their rights.
Yeah.
And even I had to sign away my rights. The little red Challenger doll, it's my picture on the box.
Really?
Going through Hang Tough. Yeah. You can tell because I got a tattooed little cross on the right shoulder. So that's me on Hang Tough. And I'm on trading cards. I did a TV guide. I was on TV guide with Gemini, but they got no royalties and I got no royalties from it.
Yeah.
They make you sign it away.
Yeah.
So I ended up going there, and like I said, I was top seed, so I picked red through the whole. I wore red all the time, and like I said, it's a 10-hour day. Because the wall is already up, but it's pushed all the way in the back. But they got to build the joust platform. They got to put the Powerball thing out. The Eliminator was a long time to build. Yeah. So if you ever watch the show, you'll see the contenders. Like the first 3-4 events, they're really energetic. But by 5, 6, and the Eliminator, they're kind of like this because they didn't know how to calm down after an event. And my martial arts training taught me that years ago. So after I do an event, they give you a 5-minute call. Okay, you're up at the joust, 5 minutes. Okay. And they ran the spring and the fall season simultaneously. So the fall season would go out and do something. Then the spring season would go out and do something. And then they'd have to go change the event for the next event. Then the fall season would go out. And then the spring season would go out, and then they changed the event. See, that's why it took like 10 hours.
Yeah.
And by the semifinals, I had people that would come, the Rico fans, and they wouldn't rotate. They'd be there the whole 10 hours.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And does everybody get paid? Does every contestant walk away with some sort of paycheck?
Something, yeah. I got 10 grand for winning, and that was more than the gladiators got paid for the whole season.
Oh, wow, man. Wow. Yeah. That is incredible, man.
Yeah.
Now,
and back then, they going back to the gladiator thing, if you won, you had the chance to come back as a gladiator. And I called him on it. But the creator, his name's Ferraro, he and I did not get along.
Okay.
So when I said, okay, I want to come back as a gladiator because I did well against him, he vetoed it, which now watching Muscles and Mayhem, I'm glad he did. That was God intervening, saying, no, not this one.
Oh, man, I really used to love that show. I really did. And the sad thing about it, just what you're touching on, that a lot of the gladiators actually started opening their eyes and saying, hey, man, we're not being treated right. We're not getting paid. So we're going to somewhat stand our ground. And they just got rid of them and just brought in new gladiators. I was like, wow, man, what a cutthroat business. But
that's the way it was. Terrible, but
yeah.
But like I said, Lord has a plan for all of us. Might not what we want, but it's what's good for us. So, you just roll with it. And when they turned me down, I went, okay. And in Santa Ana, California, where I was living, the Orange County Register was the paper. And I was like a little local celebrity. And I had a championship belt made and everything. And I would work with children's charities. And I worked with about 10 of them. Special Olympics was basically my favorite. But they're all my favorite. But with Special Olympics, you get a hug, win or lose. The kids are just great. And I did that next year after I won, all the way through 91. I did all of them for free. Did all the charities. All I asked them to do was said, feed me. All you do is feed me. And then the attorneys for Samuel Goldwyn called me and said, oh, we hear you've been doing special appearances and you didn't get our permission. And we need 10% of whatever you made. You need to send us paperwork on what you got. And we need 10% of that because you did this without our permission. And he goes, how long do you think it'll take you? And I said, well, I can do that right now. He goes, what do you mean? I said, okay, what's 10% of nothing?
Right.
He goes, what do you mean? I said, I didn't get paid anything. I said, so you got 10% of what I got.
Wow. So they were under the impression that you're over there, being this American Gladiator champion, and that's how you're making your using their logos and all that stuff. So they're over there trying to make a dime off of you. Wow, that's
I mean, that's how cutthroat deep. What they did to the Gladiators, they tried to do to me.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredible. It sucks looking back at it today because I was such a huge fan of American Gladiators to find all this stuff out that, hey, you know what? It was really actually pretty cutthroat and pretty dirty, man, and doing everybody dirty as much as they can. I'm like, that's sad to hear. But hey, you know what? If that's the way it was, then that's the way it was,
Yeah.
And wow, incredible.
I still have respect, the utmost respect for the Gladiators, male and female, that I worked with. They understand. I mean, not one of them gave me a problem.
Were they all cool?
The best? Oh yeah. I mean, shake hands and stuff like that, and they were good sports. But I was also a good sport. I played fair, and then they played fair. But there was about pride. Mine was about winning.
Yeah.
I came there to win. And in one of the interviews, they asked me why I came to try out. And I said, well, everybody has a measuring stick. Mm-hmm. And you are telling me that these 5 guys are the best of the best. And I said, I'm bringing my stick here to see how I measure up.
Wow. Awesome, man. Awesome. And you beat Gemini literally with a jousting stick. So,
first time. That was the first time he did that. And his interview with Zonka afterwards, I didn't know that was going to happen. That was a prompt moment. And I was under the stairs. And then I heard it. And he was talking. And he says, and when he said, Rico has heart, my hat's off to him. And I came out, and a camera guy saw me coming out, flipped the camera around and saw me. And I gave Gemini a thumbs up. He gave me a thumbs up. And when I knocked him off, he took his helmet off and he's pointing. And he's mouthing something, and everybody keeps asking me, what was he saying? Mm. He was telling me, good job.
Okay.
Right after he got knocked off.
Right.
Good job. So that just solidifies his interview was genuine.
Yeah. It's always good to see good sportsmanship, especially when you guys bring the best out of each other. So
and we did. I met him twice more. And we tied.
There you go. Nice. So how did you start leaning into the world of wrestling? You said you were a fan of it. And I think as a little kid, I'm not sure about everybody, but I think just almost everybody who watches wrestling kind of thinks themselves, hey, man, when I grow up, I want to be a wrestler. I thought that myself. But how did you start leaning in towards wrestling to get involved in the world of wrestling?
I didn't. That was never on my mind.
Okay.
To be a wrestler. I mean, here I am now. This is how I got involved. Here I am now. I've traveled the world bodyguarding. I've been a police officer, Batman, Conan show, a couple movies. I went to France, did their type American Gladiator show. I've done all this stuff. Private investigator. I used to do insurance fraud for State Farm farmers. I was subcontracted out. People, my neck, I need $50 million. Oh, and they're out playing golf. Yeah. I used to film them and catch them. And I did that for 2 years. And out of all the people I filmed, not one was telling the truth. Not one person. One guy, I don't know who, do you know who Chichi Rodriguez was as a golfer?
No.
Okay,
That name rings. That
yeah.
name is familiar due to the movie Tu Wong Fu.
Oh, well, Chi-Chi, if he sank a long putt, used to take his putter and do like a Three Musketeer sword thing and sheath it like that.
Oh, okay. Makes
That
sense.
he was famous for that. So I'm filming this one guy said he had back and neck problems and stuff like that, and I catch him at a golf course. I see him teeing off. I'm filming him with the little 8mm with the the telezoom, and then he's coming up to the 18th hole, and I'm in the clubhouse on the second floor. My camera's on a tripod, and I'm filming down the 18th hole. Well, he's got like maybe a 35 foot putt, and he gets there and he lines up, dink, and the thing goes in. And then all of a sudden he pulls a Chichi Rodriguez and then she's his putter, and I got all that on film.
Wow, caught him in a lie.
No money for him.
Wow, man.
So,
How did you get into law enforcement? We'll get to that before we get to the wrestling. What made you say like, okay, I'm gonna start tapping into law enforcement here?
Well, like I said, I was just starting to bodybuild. I was an EMT paramedic here in town. I went to school, and I wanted to help people. So I wanted to be a fireman first. So I went through the fireman tryout course and stuff like that, aced it. And they use the BMI, the body mass index, the body, and I was 5'11", 218 pounds, 32-inch waist. So the BMI chart says at my weight or my height, my weight should be 176. So they disqualified me, saying I was overweight. And I'm like, that's weird.
Right.
So I still wanted to help people. And then I went out for Las Vegas Metro here, and I got really high on the list there. And then a letter came out after I was ranked, and it said everybody had to redo the test all over again due to somebody claiming age discrimination. Well, when the recruiter called me, I said, well, use my score because that's the best I can do. I can't do any better. All I could do is go down. He goes, well, you got a test. I said, then I withdraw. And I withdrew from Las Vegas Metro. And then the North Las Vegas Police Department came up. I tested for them, ranked, and got hired. And I was 23 years old.
And this is so. By this time, you already had done American Gladiators.
No, this is
1985. Okay, got you. Okay, so
yeah, I'm only 23 years old. 5 years later, I did Gladiators.
Got it. And how did that lead up? You being a police officer, did that just kind of lead up to you being a private investigator? How does that trail go?
Well, what happened is I went 3 years. I graduated #1 in the state in police academy, and I was with the chief. And then he retired, and then a captain got promoted to chief, and I didn't like this captain, so I just flat out quit. I went, I'm young. Moved to Florida. Was a bartender for a while. Like I said, bodybuilding, and then I got shot, and that did that. And then I got into bodyguarding and stuff like that. In the 90s, I was part of a group called the Power Team, 92 to 94. It's a Christian group. Are you familiar with them?
Wait a minute.
John.
Hold on. The Power Team. If I'm not confusing this, are you talking about the Christian team that goes ripping phone books and all that?
Yep.
No way. You were part of the Power Team?
2 years.
I
could break a set of handcuffs,
no idea.
Rip phone books, snap baseball bats. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I used to watch that as a kid all the time. I remember we went to a show, but
Yeah.
it was too packed in there, so we weren't able to actually go inside. We were actually outside in the lobby watching it on
On
TV.
monitor.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you guys used to break baseball bats and
Yeah.
all this crazy stuff.
Bricks,
Wow.
ice. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. How did you get involved with those? I had no idea. I knew American
Okay.
Gladiators. How'd you get
I
involved with
did.
those guys?
I did Gladiators.
Uh-huh.
Then I did my tour, the year tour, and I was now doing Batman and Conan.
Okay.
And a lady invited me to Arizona to an AIM conference, right?
Okay.
Christian Athlete Conference. So I walk in the door. I got my Gladiator belt on, my Gladiator shirt, this and that, and I'm met by Meadowlark Lemon, Harlem Globetrotter. And Meadowlark comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, why don't you be on my show tonight?" Oh, okay. So I'm doing his show, not knowing. I was raised Roman Catholic.
Okay.
So I thought I was a Christian. I didn't understand the difference between Christians and religion. So Meadowlark's got me on his show, and we're talking and talking and talking. And then he just hits me. Do you know the Lord Jesus as your Savior? Yeah. Well, how do you know that? Well, I was an altar boy. I was church. I was baptized. He goes, no. Have you accepted Jesus in your heart? I said, well, yeah, I was baptized. He goes, nope. And then I sat there sweating on camera because this is on camera.
Oh.
And I said, then I guess I don't. He goes, would you like to accept Jesus into your heart right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yes. And we did the Lord's Prayer on his television show, and I became a Christian.
Wow. Wow.
So,
okay. That's quite the story.
Then I got plugged in the church in LA, and Tom Sorotnick, God rest his soul, took interest in me and was helping me grow in my Christianity. Well, he knew John Jacobs, and John came through LA, and I got to meet him, and we talked and stuff like that. And a few weeks later, John says, Tommy comes and says, John wants to give you a 2-week tryout. 2 weeks. I said, oh, okay. So I got with John and we talked about it. Well, 2-week tryout turned into a 2-year stint.
Okay. Wow.
So I was with him for 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I retired from the power team, and then I got full-time bodyguarding.
How long did that show last? Do you know?
What show?
The power team.
It was on TBN all the time. And I was a guest a few times on TBN with Paul and Jan Crouch. But it was a weekly show.
Right. You know? Yeah, I remember watching it. Oh yeah. I know. I was a fan of that. I don't know when they stopped it though. I don't know.
No, I was gone, but they continued. They were based out of Church on the Rock by Dr. Lawrence Kennedy out of Dallas, Texas. That's for the power team.
What are some of the things that you did on the power team, man? That was pretty kick-ass?
All the karate moves, breaking bricks with my arms, elbows, head, feet, breaking ice, ripping phone books, snapping bats, breaking out of handcuffs, ripping phone books, running through 2x4s.
Was there anything on the power team that they wanted you to do, or did you choose what you wanted to do?
No, John just told me to do it. I remember he made me jump off I had a platform, it was like 20 feet in the air, and it was a bunch of ice. So I had to break through that ice and jump in the air forward to break another set of ice that was about at 9-10 feet. So I had to jump off this 20-foot platform, make it, and not overshoot it and break the other ice. I'm going to show Richard.
This is.
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see
This
if I
is
can
great,
get it.
man. I don't know how this went over my head. I had no idea you're part of the power team. Was there anything that they asked you to do that you looked at it and said, like, you know what? I don't know about this one, guys.
Nope.
And they just said, hey, do this. How is it ripping a phone book? I know today you probably don't see phone books anymore, but those are some pretty
Uh,
big
yeah, I
books.
know. Yeah. Here, let me see if I can get this. Let me see. He says he's got footage. It's gladiator footage. Oh, you want to see? I'll see if this works. This is
Okay.
Jim Cornette the week before I came into OVW.
Okay. Okay.
This is me in the joust.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With Gemini.
No, that's Laser.
Oh, that's okay. That's Laser. Okay.
There goes Laser.
Yes. Yes. Good work.
See all the people? I
Uh-huh.
didn't know who these people were. Now here's me against Gemini.
See, I would have thought that there would have probably been a couple of fights that broke out due to some of this stuff.
Well, to people who had bad sportsmanship, yeah, there was fights. Muscles and
Right.
Mayhem said there was.
Right. That that last one right there. Though I love that
Eliminator.
the Eliminator. I really love that obstacle course. Do you know if they have that obstacle course anywhere where somebody could just go ahead and run it?
No, they gave you 2 days to practice without the gladiators,
Uh-huh.
and then that was it.
And you practice on that course specifically?
Yep. Yep. That's how I figured out how to roll that hand bike. Here's Laser. He's the best at the wall. That's the guy I beat in joust. He wants to pull me off.
Uh-huh. Yeah, these were really good ones. And then later on, I know they brought in a couple of different obstacles.
Yeah.
Introduced a couple of new ones. But I definitely remember these. No, it was really fun to watch that show.
Yeah. I think now here comes the power team stuff next.
Okay.
See the people with the signs? I
Right.
don't know who those people were. There's the power team.
Okay, the power. Yes, I remember the power team. It was just crazy watching some of this stuff, man.
Here's
For
the
those
here's that,
watching-
here's that leap. Watch us leap.
Oh,
This is a kick through ice, a straight side kick, and a block to another.
oh.
Here's
man.
a kick through fire, bricks on fire. Now here's in slow motion. This is what I used to do. I even catch fire a couple times. Now here comes a scissor kick. This next one. These are all real bricks you buy at the friggin' Lowe's.
Right.
Fire, and here's the last one.
Man, I used to love this show.
There you go.
Wow, I used to love that show. That completely went over my head. I had no idea you were part of the power team. I used to love that show. For those watching, man, to all the junkies, if you guys, I'm sure you guys know American Gladiators, but if you guys never heard of Power Team, go check that out. That was so much fun to watch. It really was, man. It was a Christian show and just seeing what the human body can do. Was it tough to rip a phone book?
It takes a lot. You got to be focused. Yeah, you got to be focused.
Okay. Wow, man, that's some really, really good stuff. So look, you're in law enforcement, you do American Gladiators, you're doing the Batman thing, you're doing Conan the Barbarian thing, you did a little bit of acting, you did the Power Team, which was cool as hell now, but knowing this. When does wrestling start coming into mind?
Okay, so after the Power Team, I went straight into executive protection, and the clients, which I can't mention, but I traveled the world. I got to meet 4 different presidents of different countries. I met Itzhak Rabin twice from Israel before he was assassinated. President Chaluba, who was the president of Zambia. President Chamorro, which is a female, who was Nicaragua's president. And I got to meet Daniel Ortega. Woo, man, sad. And then another president, African president in Guyana. And then I was about 2 years. And then in between that, I took another bodyguard job, and I would work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Okay. And on my 2 weeks off, I got my Florida license as a private investigator. And people who were working for State Farm and farmers would subcontract me out to go do these filmings and type reports. And so I did that for 2 years. And my brother here, my late brother, Dario, he was known as Mr. Quick in EWF.
Okay.
He asked me to come down, because he was great at bail bonds, but he just didn't know how to manage people. So I would come in, install cameras, get rid of people, not get rid of them, fire them.
Right.
Right. I want to clarify that disclaimer. So I came, and did that. And in 1998, he really begged me to quit my bodyguard and private investigating business and come full time to Vegas to manage his office. So it was a cut and pay, but it's family. When family calls, you got to go. He's my brother.
Okay.
So I moved to Vegas in February 98. And then he tells me he's going to Jesse's doing wrestling. Now I'm 38 years old.
Okay.
38. And I said, he goes, asked me to go along. I'm like, he goes, be wrestling. I said, I'm 38 years old. I'm not going to be bouncing around a ring. I said, that window's open and done shut. So we go to Jesse's. Well, that's San Bernardino. So that's a full day's 9 hours work, 3.5 hour drive, 3 hour workout, and then 3.5 hours back to Vegas. And we would do this twice a week at least. And sometimes I'd be there and I'd get there early for Saturday class, sleeping in my car. So Jesse sees something in me, and he goes, you got something. I want to work with you. I want you to stay with it. And Jesse was training me, and I practiced. And shortly after, I became the heavyweight champion. Okay. And then I defended the title a couple times. I even defended it against Honky Tonk Man, and he let me go over on him clean in the ring, 1, 2, 3 in Lancaster.
No way.
I smash his guitar on the ring post. Yeah.
Wow.
I said, because he never lets anybody go clean over him. Jesse told me.
Okay.
So I asked him later, I said, why did you let me do that? He says, well, kid, and I'm 38. Kid, I said, okay. He goes, I knew you knew what you're doing when you gave me the headlock takeover. He goes, I knew you knew it. You had it. And I went, wow. So Jesse sends a tape up. I'm in the business 8 months with Jesse. I've had 12 matches. And I get a call from Finkel early 99 and says, you want to come up to Connecticut for a tryout? Of course. So I went up there and 10-day tryout. They end up offering me a developmental contract, but it was nothing. I had to have my brother help supplement my house so I could go to Indiana.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that was two questions that I had. One was, what else are you doing when you're over there with Jesse? By the way, shout outs to my man Jesse. What are you doing to make ends meet, to make a living? I'm sure you're not.
No. That was okay because I was working for my brother in the bail bonds.
Okay.
I didn't go there for the $5, $10, $20 a match I was getting. The rent-a-car costs more than that. Gas costs more than Jesse could pay.
Right.
Right. I fell in love with the business.
Okay. And my second question
with the wrestling. Yeah.
And my second question was, at any point, did anybody look at you and say, like, look, pal, you're getting close to 40 years old. Okay, let's just no. Did anybody
Oh,
look
not
at
in
you? Hey,
EWF. Not in
okay,
EWF. Well, I didn't
okay,
move like a 38-year-old. You
gotcha.
saw my
Okay,
matches.
yeah,
I didn't look like a 38-year-old. I
okay.
was in great shape. So when I went up there,
Mhm.
I got, I was the last Dory Funk Dojo. And I remember Dory and his wife were in a mess hall, the cafeteria, and he'd sit down with a wrestler, ask him his name, how old he was, how long he'd been in the business, or ask him his name, how long he'd been in the business, and how old he was. That was the first three questions. And I was like fourth or fifth or sixth down the line. So, and they spend about three, which doesn't seem long, but 3 or 4 minutes with each wrestler.
Mhm.
And 1, 2, 3, and then you get to me. What's your name? Yeah. Uh, how long you been wrestling? Or no, ask me how old I was. I said 38 and a half. How long you been wrestling? I said 8 months. They stood up and went to the next guy. That was the end of
Wow.
my interview. Which
Oh,
basically
wow.
they were telling me, one, you're too old, and
Yeah.
how could you only have 12 matches and be in this compound? Somebody got you in here. Somebody's juicing you through.
Right.
But at the end of the 10 days, I even got food poisoning in the middle of it. But I still went out and practiced and wrestled.
Uh-huh.
I was with Mark Henry, Nicole Bass was in my crew.
And so at this point, you did fall in love with the business. You
I fell in
actually,
love with Jesse when I was with Jesse.
so you were dedicated. You're like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. This is what I'm going to do.
No, I wanted to. I left it right at Jesse's. I never thought I was going to WWE.
Okay.
Never. I just said, you know what? I love it. I'm going to do this as a hobby. I'm going to stay with Jesse. Well, the tape went up, and then WWE called me, which was WWF at the time.
Right. Yes.
And they asked me to come up. And my last match was a tag match at Killer Kowalski's territory. And then after that, Dr. Tom Pritchard came up and he says, hey, they're probably going to offer you a developmental contract. And then I hear Jim Cornette yelling in the background, where's that Rico? And then blank, 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 And I go up and I said, what's wrong? He goes, I just found out how old you were. And I went, yeah, 38 and a half. He goes, I thought you were 25. He goes, do they know you're 30? I said, yeah. I told him the first day I was 38 and a half. So after he got upset, we went back to the compound. And he told me, he goes, listen, in July, they're sending me to OVW. That's going to be our new territory. I want you to come with me to OVW. And I said, okay. So when they told me the price, they were going to pay me per week $500. I had a wife and a kid. And I'm like, I don't know if I can swing this.
Right.
And then I have to leave. I'm not even going to be here. I got to be in Jeffersonville, Indiana. So I knew Yokozuna. So Yoko and I talked, and throughout the conversation, what sold me on going with it is Yoko told me, he goes, do you know how many people would give their left arm to get what you're about to get? And I said, okay, I'll do it.
Yokozuna was in developmental as well at that time.
No, Yoko lived in
he
Vegas.
was already, he was already at that time. He already had been champion. He already had matches with Bret Hart and all that. So
yeah. Yoko was already done all that. Yoko lived in Vegas.
Okay.
And I knew
you just happened to run into Yokozuna.
Well, yeah, but I ran into him prior.
Okay.
So we were friends. That's why I called on him.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he told me that, and I said, okay, I'll go for it. And I went for it.
Wow.
And then that's how I got to OVW, tore my quad. Vince took care of it, came back, and then they were going to cut me. And I had done a little spot with Stone Cold at Christmas Chaos. and Steve liked me, and they told me they were just going to cut me because I was too old. Vince didn't like my age.
You know, it reminds me of Tough Enough. There was somebody who was, and I forget the guy's real name, but I remember he eventually became the Boogeyman. Where
Oh, yeah.
he lied about his age. That I think he said he was 30, and they're like, "Hey, no, you're really 40," and they kicked him out. But he stood there afterwards, still wanting. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and eventually he became the Boogeyman. That always sticks in with me. You were in OVW. Were you ever, from what I understand, they had a second one next to OVW called HWA. Were you ever aware of that one?
Yes, I was OVW champion, HWA champion, and Power Pro champion at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
I held all three belts for all three territories.
Wow. All right.
I showed Richard.
You were in OVW at a time where John Cena was in there, Brock Lesnar,
Yeah,
Dave Bautista,
Cena and I were tag partners.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, I saw this. I don't know, years ago. That they discovered John Cena actually because of you. Apparently, they're going down there to see you, and you were tag team partners with John Cena, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We're here to see Rico, but hey, this John Cena guy doesn't seem too bad either." And that's kind of how John Cena, in other words, John Cena was discovered basically because of you, Rico. You ever take that and put it on your cap and say like, "Hey, I made you, kid"?
Nope. That's not me. Actually, it was the team. He came in. I was Rico the role model because I turned heel, and I was with Kenny Bolin, with Bolin Services, and I brought Cena in as my prototype. So he was known as the prototype.
Right?
And he could cut a promo. That just came natural to him.
Yeah.
Kenny can cut a promo.
How was it in OVW at that time? Were you able to point out the guys that you thought, you know what, these guys are gonna make it? Batista, I could already see his future. Brock Lesnar, I could see his future. John Cena, the prototype, I could see his future. Were you able? Because I mean, that was a pool of guys that turned out to be big times.
Yeah, well, don't forget, I came into OVW only 8 months in the business and 12 professional matches. My job was to keep my mouth shut and listen. And that's why God gave us one mouth and two ears. So we listen twice as much as we talk.
Okay.
I was there to learn. I even came in on Saturdays with Nick Dinsmore, who ended up becoming Eugene, and working out when he used to teach the local people. I every time I could get in the ring and learn, I learned. I dedicated everything.
Okay. Who in OVW was your favorite to work with?
Oh, Danny's four. Flash, Conway, Dinsmore, Damager. Those guys are the reason why I got to where I got.
Okay.
Because I didn't, what they said, I listened to. Because they were seasoned. They were Danny's guys. And I just listened to them. I'd say, well, what do you want to do in the match? I remember Nick Dinsmore doing this. He goes, well, what do you want to do? Well, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, and this, and this. What are you going to do? He goes, wow. He goes, you know, you don't have to get all your, excuse me for saying this. He goes, you don't have to get all your shit in one match. You know, let's take it down a little bit. That was his nice way of saying, this is how we do it. And that's how I learned how to build a match. The shine, the heat, shine, heat or shine at the end. That's how I learned.
What was the atmosphere in OVW? Was everybody trying to build each other up, or were there people trying to cut each other's legs off because they wanted to be the one to shine?
No, it was all a building up because I was the first WWF contract developmental sign.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, I was the first one to go with Cornette. And then Cornette brought in guys. all of us got along. All of us knew we wanted to go from here to there. So there was all the development guys that came in, we all had the same goal: get on the main roster.
Right. How was it being tag team with John Cena and OVW? Were you guys actually friends, or did they just say, "Hey, you guys just be tag teams," and you guys were just tag team, but you guys weren't really all that buddies? It's just, hey,
We were no, we didn't hang out afterwards, but when it was time to do our job, we had the same mind. You know, he said, "Rico, you can do all the fancy stuff. I just want to kick, stomp, punch." You know, but you know, we did it for what it was. It was a business. When we showed up to work, it was there to work and give the best product we could.
Was he rapping at the time backstage at all? Did anybody know he can rap?
No, he didn't know it was free rap. But I first heard him free rap on the bus. We were overseas. I can't remember what, Ireland or UK. I don't know, but he went nuts on a freestyle rap, and everybody was like, "Oh!" And I think that's how he got his gimmick.
This is already at the main roster, correct?
Yeah.
But
I never heard him freestyle in OVW, but he could cut a promo.
Yeah. That was a story. I remember seeing that. That, like I said, they were there to check you out, and they saw John Cena. They're like, "Wow, you know what? This kid is actually pretty good on the mic." Especially him talking backwards on the mic. He'd say something, and he's all like, "Push rewind," and then he'd do that. So
yeah, he did Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Exactly. That's exactly what he would do. Good stuff right there. Who'd you hang out with in OVW? Just about
when
everybody?
I was off, I hang out with everybody. Yeah, a funny thing is, I was a face, and I'd go out and do the meet and greets. You know, I didn't get paid any extra, but I did. Then I became a heel.
Right.
But people still liked me as a heel, and they went along with it. But Bolin and I were the only heels that would go out and do charities. It was the funniest thing, you know. And I had a special fan there, Dustin Cotton. And he is a gentleman, a young man who has cerebral palsy. And he and I became friends. So I used to always, when I was a face, I'd always go out after the match and give him my wristband that I wrestled with, you know, and his grandparents would bring him to the OVW matches. And I used to go with him sometimes to therapy, because with muscular dystrophy, their therapy is painful because they're stretching the muscles and stuff like that. It's not like they don't feel. And he'd have his bad days. So I would go with him to physical therapy, help him out. I'd wear the wristband. He'd wear his wristband. You know, the parents used to have me over for dinner a lot. And then I turned heel, so I couldn't really go out there and hug him and stuff.
Right.
But I used to always acknowledge him. I'd jump on the second turnbuckle and go, "What are you doing here? Get this guy out. Security, get this guy out of here. He don't belong here." And it would just tickle him to death. You know, but I always acknowledged him in the match.
Was it Jim Cornette who was overseeing OVW?
Yes.
Okay, he was the guy in charge. He was the Vince McMahon of OVW.
Yes.
Okay, how was it working with Jim Cornette? Because he's quite the character.
Like I said, Jim was impressed. He thought I was 25. And in that interview I just showed you, he says on TV that he thinks I'm the most gifted, talented athlete there ever was, because I could do so many things. But he really invested his time in me. You know, he spent time with me, giving me knowledge about the business and stuff. And going with Bolin Services was also beneficial, because Kenny had known Jim for like 30 years. So when Jim would say something, Kenny would translate it to me, so I never messed up. I think I messed up in one match. I didn't tag off in time or something, or didn't hit a spot at the right time, one time. Because Kenny would always explain, he means this, he means that, he means this. Okay. So I liked Jim. I got along well with him.
Okay. And everybody watching right now, we'll get to your questions in just a second, man. I see you guys' questions. We'll definitely get to it. So we'll definitely get to your guys' questions. So now you get moved up to the main roster.
Yeah.
Walk us through that. What's your thoughts? What is the process on all that?
Like I said, they were going to cut me.
Okay.
And Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, Stone Cold, and JR wrote a letter and really told Vince, listen, if you're going to cut him, you're going to cut him and give him 90 days pay. Bring him on the road for 90 days and see if there's anything you can think of. So I went on with Brock, Ron Waterman, Randy Orton, and me. We went up and did dark matches. So one time I was a heel, one time I was a face, back and forth. And I think it was Stephanie that came up with the manager idea for Billy and Chuck. And all of a sudden I'm sitting at home and I get a phone call. Rico, I need you to jump in Canada, Ottawa. Okay, so I go up to Ottawa not knowing what I'm doing. So then they tell me I'm going to be the manager for Billy and Chuck. I barely know wrestling.
Right.
And I'm going to be a manager? I was on the phone in a hot second with Kenny Bolin. Kenny, how do I be a manager? I don't know anything about it. So he gives me tips. Billy Gunn gives me tips. And the sideburn idea actually was Raven's idea. Because we were doing dark matches. And like I said, I was going heel, face, heel, face, And Raven asked me, he goes, what do you like being, a face or a heel? I said, I like being a heel. He goes, then you got to do something about your face. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're too pretty. Grow some sideburns. So he wanted me to grow like the honky tonk man side. Well, that's already been done. So when I started growing my sideburns, I figured I'm going for the Wolverine look. Because that was my.
Now I could see it. I can see it now. Yes.
That was my code name as a bodyguard.
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Not for the character, because of the animal.
Got you. Okay.
So I started growing the Wolverine chops. And I said, Vince, I do the match and I interfere with the Hardy Boys. And I asked Vince, I said, what am I doing? He goes, you're the stylist for Billy and Chuck. Okay, what kind of stylist? Hairstylist? Fashion stylist? He goes, flesh it out yourself. No help whatsoever.
Okay.
So I'm here in Vegas for the next week, and I'm in the tanning bed, and I'm going, stylist. And then it popped in my head. I know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be an image consultant, like the people who help people's careers, PR people. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an image consultant from New York. And then I called the Godfather, because he's now semi-retired.
Okay.
And I say, where did you get all your wild clothes? I got to get some of that stuff because I'm going over the top here. And he told me where to get them. So I started out with that black alligator suit and the YMLO shirts. If I wore a blue shirt, blue glasses, blue belly button rings in my ear. If I wore red glasses. And then I got into snakeskin, the tiger stripes.
Yes.
And all that stuff. So I kept developing the character as I went on. And the people, I got them to hate me big time.
Billy and Chuck, they were the tag team. They were kind of, flamboyant kind of guys, man. And, they throw you in there. Were you cool with that? It's like,
well, yeah, that was because they were losing their heat.
Okay.
So they threw me in to get the heat back.
To get the heat back on them. Okay. Oh, man. You know what? That's some good stuff right there. I remember them as a tag team. Yeah, they usually wore red. And they were kind of flamboyant. And I remember when you came in. And I'm going to be honest. At first, I was just like, I don't really like this guy, man. Like, what? Get rid of him and everything. But as time went on, I was able to see the connection that you guys were having, and later on in life, I was much more able to appreciate it. Was that something good for you that you liked? That it's like, hey, you know what? I could be a manager.
Oh yeah, but then after I managed them real well, they let me wrestle.
Right.
And by that time, these people hated me so much. When Rikishi gave me the stink face, the place exploded. Exploded. When they finally let the face get a hold of me, because nobody could touch me. I was
Right.
throwing super kicks, spin kicks, grabbing them by the heel, interfering, keeping the belts with Billy and Chuck.
Yes. Yeah. You definitely are underrated when it comes to some of the athletic moves that you were able to do. Kind of made me believe that, hey, this guy was martial artist once upon a time or something,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
what you were doing in the ring did come out that way. And I'm like, wow, it's pretty cool, man. A lot of people look at somebody like RVD and the kicks that he does, but you're one that was also doing things like that should be noted. It's like, hey, pretty cool, man, of the things that you're doing in the ring. So when you were wrestling, you see the picture of yourself in the background here
yeah.
with the face paint. How did that character come to be? You're pretty flamboyant and all that. How did you're saying the character was developing? How did
No,
it
no,
develop?
that's a whole different character. I
Okay,
was
how did you
Rico the
take it to that
stylist.
direction?
Okay. Well, remember the wedding?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Well,
with Chuck
that
and
broke
Billy.
up. That broke up, and I bounced to
Yes,
Raw, and I
yes.
got to go over on Ric Flair. So
Okay.
now I'm with 3 Minute Warning.
Oh
I'm
man,
trying
those
to
two.
get their heat up.
Okay, okay.
Jamal ends up getting in trouble in Florida. Vince fires him. Well, I can't have 2 Minute Warning. So
Mhm.
Rosie goes to being shit, superhero in training with Hurricane. And
Yes.
Triple H approaches me and said, Vince wants you to do this Adrian Street character. And I said, uh, is Adrian still alive? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I have to meet him and ask his permission to do this character. So they
Mhm.
flew me to Gulf Breeze. I met Adrian and his wife, Linda, and he told me what he did in the 70s to make
Mhm.
it work. And I had to figure a way to bring it into the 2000s because he mistreated his wife, kicked her down. And
Mhm.
if I did all that, I'd get shot in the arena in the 2000s, 30 years since he's done it. So I developed this to be more androgynous, flamboyant. You didn't know if I was gay or not.
Mhm.
Then I had Miss Jackie who doted over me.
Mhm.
So you're like, yeah, is this hot girl? He's doing these funky moves, but at the end of the match, he's kicking some butt.
Right.
All of a sudden the mean Rico comes out.
Uh-huh.
So so Vince is the one that wanted me to do it, just like he made Adrian Adonis. But the mistake he made with Adrian Adonis is Adonis came right out on an interview and said, yeah, I'm gay. Killed the character. Killed it right there.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Me, you never knew. And then when
Right.
Charlie and I tagged up, I do this stuff to Charlie, and then I developed, the Ride 'em Cowboy,
With Charlie Haas. Yeah, with
Charlie Hawk.
Charlie Haas. With Charlie
Yeah.
Haas. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
wrestled Charlie on my debut on SmackDown because I was a heel, and the
Mhm.
fans turned me face with this character. They turned
Okay.
me into a face. So then I had to get squashed on Raw, and then I went to SmackDown, wrestled Velocity with Jamie Noble. People
Mhm.
loved it. Then I wrestled Charlie Haas, and he won on a disqualification because I kissed him right on the lips. And then the next week, Pat Patterson says, You guys got to be tag champions tonight." And Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty were holding the belts. And I said, how does 3 faces and 1 heel get the belt?
Mhm.
Well, Rikishi has a great mind. Pat Patterson had a great mind. And we had that match and we ended up winning.
Mm.
So the triangle was what people thought was Jackie likes Rico, Rico likes Charlie, Charlie likes Jackie.
Right. Right.
So you never knew what was going on. And the shenanigans I pulled on Charlie, like pinching his cheek or smacking his ass or doing my antics, was
Mhm.
supposed to piss him off to wrestle harder.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it did. He
Yeah.
had the weird finishes. And, after every match. I don't care if it was a house show or television taping. I would go out and I'd take pictures and sign every autograph that any fan wanted. And I used to talk to the fans, and they used to say, "Hey, you know what would be funny?" And I'd look around, grab out a notebook, and I go, "What?" And they would say something, and I'd write it down. You know,
Okay.
And then I would think of my moves or something. You know, if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. The best compliment, one of the best compliments a fan gave me was, "Rico, do you know why I watch you?" I said, "No." He goes, "Because I don't know what you're going to do from week to week."
Keep them guessing. Keep them guessing. That's the best way. Now, Mr. Constantino, I got a bunch of questions. People have been throwing questions as well. I want to get to them, just because there's so much. First of all, my first question is, you worked with Jackie. What was the atmosphere with the Tough Enough people that went to the main roster? Jackie's one of them, and she was part of a controversial one where people thought it was going to be that other guy. I think his name was Jake, but they actually got 2 females from that Tough Enough season. What was the locker room like? Did they bring in the Tough Enough people and say, like, "Yeah, you're one of us," or they're like, "No, you guys are like some sort of..."
No, they had to earn their bones.
Okay.
See, she was on. Remember that Linda Miles and her had that rotten tag match on Raw and messed it up. Well, they sent Jackie down to OVW. They were going to cut her, and then they want me to do this character, and they were going to give me Melina from ECW. Oh, and I said, "No, I need Jackie Gata." "Oh no, she's on her way out." I said, "Well, this gimmick is not going to go without a bombshell." "Well, Melinda can wrestle." I said, "I don't need the person to wrestle. I need them to dote on me." And I said, "If you want this to work, I need her." So they called her back up, and now she was my manager. She was my valet. And the boys gave her a rough time. She wanted to wrestle, and props off to Jackie Gata, because every time we did house shows or tapings, she would come with her boots, get in the ring, and the guys would really womp on her. But I couldn't go in and save her, because then that would brought more heat. But she took her lumps, practiced every time, and then she got to wrestle. We had the Chris Jericho, Trish Stratus, me and Jackie match, the Dudley boys, the 6-way. Jackie got to wrestle. Jackie got to wrestle bra and panties with Trish.
Yeah.
So she made it. Even though Stephanie said she'll never wrestle, she made it and got in the ring and wrestled. So she has that guts. She had the heart to do it and do whatever it took to get into the ring to earn to be a wrestler.
Okay. My boy Paulo from the LA Times is asking, what is the greatest female and male wrestler entertainer of all time in your opinion?
Wow. I don't know who's the greatest. The people I wrestled with were all good for their time. My story between Bubba Ray Dudley and myself. That's all. I
do want to get to that.
It's I'm beating a dead horse. He's a bully, hurt me on purpose in Chicago, and that's why he's called Bully Ray now.
So I mean, you don't want to talk too much about it, but I'll just go ahead and say this. It's out there. Dave Bautista came out and really expressed his feelings about Bubba Ray Dudley from the Dudley Boys. Saying that, that guy is just, he's an a-hole. He always, walked around with a certain chip on his shoulder, kind of his chest out. And since then, from everything that I've seen, nobody has really disagreed with Dave Bautista. They've just kind of been like, you know what? If I ain't got nothing nice to say, I'm not going to say anything at all. Is that? Are you kind of confirming what Dave Bautista is saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Why don't you get Rene Dupree on your show? He'll confirm it too.
Okay. What about Devon?
Great. Fantastic guy. Fantastic.
Well, are Bubba and Devon, are they really close outside of the ring?
Don't know.
Okay. Okay. But one's great to work with and the other one not so much.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Forget
Gotcha.
not so much. Not at all. Now, Hardcore Holly, a
Uh-huh.
lot of people misunderstand him. He's tough,
Mhm.
but he comes from old school wrestling, and you got to prove to him you deserve to be in a match with him. So he is a little snug.
Right. Right. I
But
remember on Tough Enough, he went hard on some kid and he even made him cry. And, everybody there was shocked, and he had everybody kind of scared, like, whoa, you know what? This is a time that Al Snow was doing Tough Enough.
yeah,
Hardcore Holly went in there and really put it to this one youngster, and
yeah,
everybody kind of freaked out. They actually had to have a talk with all of them saying, like, hey, listen, you know what? He's just very passionate.
yes, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Well,
Yeah.
I remember in Italy, we were in Italy wrestling, and it came down to it was Charlie and I against him and Billy,
Mm.
and we discussed the match, and then right in the middle of the match, he chopped me. I mean, I'm talking full strength chop, and I went some bit, so I hit him right back, and then he looked at me and hit me just as hard. There was no choreographing this, so I got Billy and Haas going, "What the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
This is not part of the match." And we chop ourselves to the center of the ring, and we are trading for at least a minute 30, 2 minutes, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, I'm giving it my all, and he's giving it his all.
Right.
And then he backs me up to the corner, and he leans in. He goes, "Now that's what I want to see." And then he hip tosses me out of the corner, and then we continue with the match. He wanted to see if I deserved to be there. So that's a misunderstanding with Hardcore Holly.
Okay.
He loves the business so much. He's passionate. He doesn't want nobody getting juiced in or snaked in or weaseled in. You got to earn your spot with him.
Okay.
So that's on Hardcore. Good wrestler, technique, sells for you. Just, I respect Hardcore.
Yeah. I remember when he first came in, he came in as a race car driver. And then
He still does that.
really?
I think he still races.
Wow. Yeah, he came in. I think I forgot his name, like race car Bob Holly, or I forgot the his name, but then he turned into hardcore Holly,
Yeah.
and he was just a
Basically,
badass.
because he's a hardcore wrestler.
Yeah,
He,
yeah, he definitely
he
was.
wrestles like the people in Japan. Japan's stiff.
Uh-huh.
But let's get to the questions. I don't know whoever the greatest is.
Okay.
I worked with Ray. I worked with everybody,
Okay.
and every match to me was special, except with you know who.
Right. Same guy, Pablo's asking who in the industry was an actual Christian, and do you have Eddie Guerrero story you can tell us?
Eddie was a Christian.
Okay.
Eddie Guerrero, my wife and my ex-wife and Vicky, we were friends.
Mhm.
And I went to his funeral.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard this from numerous of wrestlers. What's your thoughts on HBK backstage?
You talk about Michaels?
Yes, Shawn Michaels.
Didn't have any interaction with him. Pleasant. Hello, hello. How you doing? Great. This, that.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. Alex Prius is asking, do you still watch WWE from time to time?
No. And I'll quote Stone Cold. Hell no.
Okay. Any reason why? You just not a fan of
Don't
it
like the
anymore?
product. I don't like the writing.
Okay.
I appreciate the wrestlers trying to do it. I
Mhm.
respect them, but the writing stinks.
Did you guys have a little bit more control in what you guys did back then as opposed to now, do you think?
I don't know what's going on now, but I remember when I did the stylist character and we did the flamboyant uh, metrosexual thing. Billy and I told Vince, as long as we'll do this, as long as we do not offend that way of life.
Okay.
And when I did this character, the Adrian Street character, which Adrian is not proud of, I've seen that interview. He is totally disgusted with how I took the character. But hey, you did it the way you did it. I did it the way I did it, and it worked. It's still working. Look, I'm on a podcast, and I've been gone since 2005.
Right.
I still get fan mail. People ask me to sign cards. As long as they send a self-addressed envelope, I'll sign it for free and send it back.
Okay.
So, what was I saying? Oh, I left off. What did I say? I'm getting old.
No, it's all right. We could move on to the next one right here.
Okay.
Wrestling history with Alex. He's asking. Let me put it up. He's asking. I know we touched on Bubba Ray, but he's asking about the kiss that you had with Bubba Ray at No Mercy.
Yeah.
Who pitched that? Because that was kind of going with what we were talking about. How much freedom did you have in the story writing?
Let me tell you that story.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba didn't like working with me because of the character. In fact, he said he wasn't going to do any of my stuff. He wasn't going to. All of a sudden, Pat Patterson tells Vince. Vince calls him in the back. He comes out about 30 minutes later, and it was Bubba who thought of the kiss spot.
Wow. Really? After he said he doesn't want to do it?
Well, no, the kiss spot wasn't even in it.
Okay, but he didn't want to work with you, is what I'm saying.
He didn't want me to do the ride the pony or, spin around, get behind him, as he runs out of the ring, kiss, or do anything that I did flamboyant, bend down, stuff like that. He didn't want to do none of that. So after he came back from Vince, all of a sudden we're talking over the match, and he goes, listen, this is what we do. And he thought of that whole spot. Jackie sneaks out, tags me. I sneak in, rub him. He says, now you kiss me, but don't you put your lips all the way on me. Give me a peck. I said, fine, I'll do that. So it was him that actually thought of that spot. Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely is. Cali Travel's asking, the rumors with Randy and Stephanie. Did you hear any of those rumors?
It's new to me.
Randy Savage and Stephanie, apparently they had some sort of, I don't know. There's rumors.
Oh, I thought you meant Orton.
No. Randy Savage and Stephanie McMahon.
Well, listen, wrestling back then in the 80s was very tight, very closed. Me, I'm not into gossip. I don't listen to rumors. I believe half of what I hear. I mean, none of what I hear, half of what I see.
Okay.
That's real. I don't get into the gossip columns. If I think that a conversation is going to get dirt or spread dirt, I'm out of it. I live by that today. Well,
listen, here's a rumor and gossip that was about you. That I have you here. So let me go ahead and ask this. Word is that Bruce Pritchard, aka Brother Love, I don't know how true this is, but we got you on here. I gotta ask it because I heard this many years ago. That to get
I
you
know what you're gonna say.
That he slapped you, that he smacked the heck out of you, and that you were just like, you know what, Bruce, you're right, or something along that line that you just kind of took and you're like, you know what? Yes, sir, I'll do it. And I'm like, that's a little bit off for a man to get slapped and then just kind of say like, yes, sir, I'll do it.
Okay. You know my history. Plus, I just told you some of it. Martial arts, bodyguard, cop. Right. Do you think I'm the type of person that's going to let somebody slap me and get away with it?
Knowing your history, no. But your character, I think people would kind of misconstrue that.
Yeah, well, character... If I was in character, I'd have been out of character.
Okay.
And I addressed this on Kenny Boland's show. Mm-hmm. And I called out Bruce Pritchard to say, I'll come on your show and we'll talk about this. The wedding whole segment wasn't run by Bruce Pritchard. It was run by Stephanie. So he wasn't even in it. And as far as him slapping me, I said the same question to Kenny. Do I look like a person that will be slapped and not retaliate? He said, no. I said, okay. If he really did slap me, there would be an chalk outline of his body in the arena, and there would be no more brother love. And I called him out on it.
Yeah.
Call me. I'll go on your show. Kenny called him out, said, come on the show and discussed it. Never did.
Wow.
Nobody has ever slapped me except in a match. But a real man-to-man slap, guarantee you that wouldn't have happened to me. He would have received some retaliation. Yeah, I know. He said he slapped me so hard. I was on the phone. It broke my phone. And after that, we went live and I got the part right. Yeah. Okay. You're going to slap a bodyguard, American Gladiator champion, a police officer, and you're not going to expect something back? Do you think I was that whooped to be part of WWE?
Mm-hmm.
Vince refused to give me a raise after a 3-year contract, and I quit.
Wow.
I quit because he wouldn't give me $1,000 a week. Goldberg gets $36,000 a week. Jackhammer.
Right.
I'm working all the time, putting people over.
Yes.
And I want $1,000 a week raise after 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
$52,000. You mean you can't afford that? I'm tag team champion twice. I was about to be on the WWE cover with Charlie and Jackie. They had the photos already done. And I said, okay, you got 90 days to think about it. You don't give me my raise, I'm out. Up the day before, he didn't. I was already in talks with All Japan. I quit. The next day I was in All Japan, won the All Asian tag titles with Bull Buchanan. First night with Takamiki Noshu and ROD.
Wow. Okay. Here's a question, Cali Traveler. Prefer working with Stephanie or Shane? And just
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Shane never liked me. Vince never liked me. Linda,
oh, really?
Linda McMahon and Stephanie liked me.
Okay. How much is Linda actually involved in the business? We always see, we rarely see her. We always see Vince, or we always did see Vince, Stephanie, and Shane. Was Linda always in the back as well, or no?
In the background. She was there sometimes, sometimes not. But I'm just saying that Linda and I got along, and Stephanie and I got along.
Okay. And how is Shane McMahon?
He's almost up by Bubba Dudley. One day I'm practicing. I'm in there practicing. He's in the ring because he's going to do a spot that night. And he came right up to my face and he goes, you know something, Rico? You're going to be nothing but a flatbacker, which means all you are going to be is a jobber. Told me right to my face.
Dang.
I said,
wow.
Oh, okay, boss. And then I go hold the titles twice. I got 2 action figures, 4 video games. Yeah, I'm a flatbacker. I'm the oldest rookie in WWE history.
What were the guys that didn't want to work with you because of your character?
Well, Charlie Haas knew that more than I did. He was just on a podcast and said nobody wanted to work with me because of the character. And Charlie told him, why wouldn't you want to work with him? All you do, you don't take bumps. All you have to do is facial expressions and act. It saves your body. Why wouldn't you want to work with Rico? So I guess Charlie never told me that. He never brought that up to me, but he said it on an interview and I happened to catch it.
Okay.
So that was his reason.
Yeah, wasn't it? I mean, Goldust was kind of doing something similar as well. I don't know how much he was really getting for his character, but did you ever run into Goldust? Did you ever have meetings with Dustin Rhodes?
Yeah, I wrestled him, but I wrestled him as the stylist, not this character.
Right. And how is Dustin Rhodes? How was he? Okay.
Great.
Okay. Who was somebody that you could tell us? I know, we don't want to keep beating up on Bubba Ray, but who is somebody in the back where it's like, hey, everybody just knows to stay away from that guy?
Bubba Ray.
Wow. Wow. I did not know that he was that tough to work with. Okay. Who was just a complete specialist in the ring where it's like, man, this guy just makes this job easy?
A lot of them. Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair. My God, everybody I wrestled made it easy for me. Rob Van Dam, Rikishi. I loved everybody I worked with, except you know who.
Except for Bubba Ray.
And his initials are Bubba Ray. Oh, that's not initials.
Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
Did you see anything in him that would kind of, now looking back, hindsight's 2020, looking back at it, did you see any signs of him where it's like, okay, I could see this guy's kind of a little bit off? Anything going on with that?
I was a police officer.
Yes.
Nothing even remotely in that direction. I knew him. I knew his son, Daniel. He used to help me with my matches because I would think of a move, and he always used to chew on coffee straws, the little stir sticks.
Yes, yes.
He used to always chew on those. And during tapings, he'd sit up in the auditorium and just be by himself. And I used to go up to him for nearly 5 years and go, hey, Chris, I got this move. This is how it is. Where should I put it? Should I put it in the shine? Should I put it in the comeback? Should I put it as the finish? Stuff like that. And he would actually sit there and think about it. He goes, I'd put it here. I never saw him lose his temper one time, even when he should have. I never saw a mean side to that guy.
Okay.
Never. So when I heard this, completely floored me.
Okay.
Floored me out of the, and I didn't sense it. And here I am, a seasoned investigator.
Mm.
And there was no signs whatsoever, no behavior that would tip me off. He's a ticking time bomb. Nothing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Very sad. Here's one to kind of loosen it up a little bit. Did you ever take a chop by the Big Show?
Hell yeah.
How is that? How is that?
Hurts. It was Mark Henry and I against Big Show and Eugene. We were in some little town. This is in OVW days. And he gets me in the ring, puts me in the corner, holds me back, goes, ugh! And the fans, whack. I went, holy Moses. And I tried to walk away. Well, he throws me back in the corner, holds me up and goes to the other side of the audience. Yeah. Whack. I went, oh my God. That now my chest has got 2 handprints on it. So I try to walk out of the corner. He throws me back in the corner to give me a third one. He asks one more time. He lifts his hand to chop me. I drop down, crawl on all fours, and I tag in Mark Henry. Roll out of the ring, grabbed a fan's Coca-Cola, and poured it on my chest with the ice and started rubbing it. So there's your answer.
Oh man. Okay. All right. What was the most pulverizing move that you felt where it's like, oh man, you know what? I got to gear up for this one. A finisher maneuver or anything of that sort. Was it a choke slam where it's like, man, this one always hurts?
Nope.
Okay. Just the chop.
Oh, Ric Flair chops.
Oh,
I had to get prepared for Ric Flair chops.
Okay.
Oh, that man can still chop.
Really? Okay. I mean, I know he's very popular for it, but it just I know you hear it, but it's probably just always undercover with the whole whoo. But his
technique is perfect.
Wow. Okay. All right. And you know what? Ric Flair, I mean, he probably goes down as one of the greatest. Word is that guy shuts down a bar. Any Ric Flair stories?
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I can't confirm them. I've never been out drinking with him.
Got you. Okay, all right. Yeah, that his character is actually who Ric Flair
Yeah,
truly is.
Ric Flair became Ric Flair, and he lived
Mm,
his gimmick.
okay.
Yeah,
And
I saw that on 30/30, so I'm not making that up. That's his own words.
got you.
I got to work with his son in OVW.
Okay. All right. Did he have the technique that Ric Flair had?
Not as good as Rick, but you can tell he's a prodigy.
Okay. All right.
He's got some chop DNA.
Got you. Okay. Pablo from the LA Times is asking, any Hogan or Steiner stories? Did you work with any of those guys?
Steiner, I had to work with Steiner, but he didn't want to work with me. That was one of them. Hogan, okay. Terry was great. He loved my character. I got to interfere in a match when Christian and him won the titles from Billy and Chuck. So I got to work with the Hulkster, which is a highlight. And then he came to Vegas a couple times, and we saw each other and treated me just like old times.
Okay. All right. How's Triple H? At that time,
they don't call him the cerebral assassin for nothing. He and I always got along. He's the one that brought the idea from Vince to go to the Adrian Street character. Always professional with me. Very nice all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. I hear different stories about Paul Levesque, but ultimately they're usually pretty good. I like that because I was a pretty big fan of him. Did you run into Austin and The Rock, and what was those guys like? Because they were like larger than character life.
Steve is why I didn't get cut. Steve is one of the reasons why I got called up instead of cut.
Okay.
So, and The Rock used to tell me, he goes, yeah, your character makes me laugh, when I'd see him here and there.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Dead Man, Undertaker, I used to mess with him all the time. He and I got along really well. I told this story before. I had to go in the arena. I'm in the bathroom, and I'm putting on my makeup. That's really detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then comes Dead Man, and he's putting the little eyeliner, under his eyes for him to go out. So he's standing right next to me. He's like 6'10" anyway. I'm 5'11". And I'm standing there and I'm watching him do it. And I'm kind of looking, and my brain's going. And finishes one, finishes the other eye, and he's looking at it. And I go, hey, you can borrow some of mine if you want. He gave me this look like he wanted to be mean, but he was laughing inside.
Yeah.
And he went, no. And he turned around and walked out of the bathroom.
Oh man, Undertaker, was he really the guy? I'm sure the answer is yes. But he's the man.
That's it. The judge, everything.
Okay. Is there what was the most the entrances? If you're standing in the ring, what's the entrance that really captivated you, that you kind of got lost a little bit, where it's like, oh, wait a second, I'm about to face this person? Was there any entrance that was like, wow, to
Kane.
you? Oh,
Kane.
Yeah.
Because everything went ba-boom.
Oh, wow.
Because you're standing there, we're in the middle of the concussions.
Yeah.
I liked Rey Mysterio's entrance when he flew out of the floor. I like that entrance. The entrance is what you make it.
Okay. All right. As we're wrapping down, was there any backstage fights that you ever saw with anybody?
No, but I was on the flight. I wasn't on the flight from hell when Brock and Kurt Angle almost broke through the emergency door.
Okay.
But I like I said, I'm an easygoing guy. I don't get into fights. I don't want to be in fights. And I try to talk my way out of it. But the quieter I get, the more you should worry. Because when I stop talking, I'm figuring out how to tear something off you.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I don't fight fair either. That's another thing.
You fight.
I'm not there to win up. No, I do win and run.
Yeah.
I'm not there to win a WBA, WBC title belt. I'm not
Right.
getting paid to fight you. I'm getting paid to survive.
Right.
Same
Definitely.
thing I do in my job now. You get people trying to, they take you on. But pain has a funny way of bringing people's memory back.
As we bring it to an end, what's Mr. Rico Constantino doing today?
Well, Mr. Rico Constantino had to retire from law enforcement in 2016. I got blood clots in my lung, and I was sick for 3 years. Got better by God's hands. Made me better. I shouldn't have been better. I never asked for healing because I thought that had been greedy because of everything God let me do in my life. I think I've lived 3 lives in one. So when I would go to bed, I say, okay, Lord, if I wake up, I'll take my medicine. And if I don't wake up, I'll be next to you. I was comfortable with where I wasn't crying about it. And, oh, please save me, please. I was satisfied with my life. But obviously God has something else for me to do because I was healed. And now I'm working. I am a senior insurance investigator. I investigate accidents, risk management, loss prevention, loss recovery. I work for a company called Bell United out here. We do insurance for all like the hotels, house limos at Caesars, Venetian, Palazzo, Mirage, Flamingo, Rio, Paris, 2 cab companies, Executive Bell, Captain Limousines, 2 tow truck companies, Ewing and Walker. So I do 12-hour shifts. I work 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. and I do all that stuff. Wow. So that's what I do now.
Nice. Good to hear that you're still, doing your thing, man. And you know what? You're not lying. I mean, you lived 3, 4 lives. I mean, I feel like we just barely scratched. We could have done, 5 hours on each of everything that you just mentioned. I mean, not just from wrestling, but everything that you did before. The American Gladiators. I mean, being in law enforcement, so much. Your life is very, very fascinating. So,
oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
So you definitely have lived a life, and you still continue to live a life. Well, Mr. Constantino, any last words to anybody who's watching this now or is going to watch this later? Anything, any shout outs that you want to give, anything that you just want to say to anybody who's going to watch this? The floor is yours, sir.
Oh, well, first, shout out to all my fans, Rico fans, who have stuck with me throughout the years. And if you ask, what do I miss about the wrestling business? I don't miss the traveling. I don't miss living out of a suitcase. I definitely don't miss going through a table, chair shots, but I do miss my fans. They were the reason why I kept going and thinking and entertaining, was all of you. And I can't thank you all enough. And when I was sick, everybody who gave me their thoughts and prayers, people who donated to the GoFundMe page that Kenny Bolin set up, thank you very much. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. Shout out to the guys I wrestled. Miss them. I miss having conversations with them. Miss being around the boys. Thank you to God for giving me such a wonderful life. And through my life, I hope I can inspire you out there that the sky's the limit. Reach for the stars. If your mind can conceive it, your heart can achieve it. And that's anything. Just look at my life. Anything I set my mind to, dedicated, I did it. Now, that's not saying I didn't have any failures or setbacks. I'm dealing with another setback right now, as a matter of fact. I got a work injury. I've had a fractured hip and a torn labor muscle for almost a year now, and workman's comp won't fix me. But that doesn't get me down. I'm going to bounce right back because I'm about to win it. I'm going to bounce right back, and I'm going to do what I do. Go right back to the gym. And, just I don't want to brag, but I'm going to show you a picture of what I looked like the week after the accident. And
Okay.
I was trying to pictures. Let's see. I was gonna ask to do a Royal Rumble run-in.
Word is that you went through a table and the rod went through your arm.
Yes, that did. That was
Wow.
at 2002 Survivor Series. That's where I yelled at, "Where are you, Jeff?"
Yes, the where are you, Jeff? Jeff Hardy. Yes.
Yeah, where are you? Oh, I gotta
Wow.
find this picture.
That's
Where'd it go?
that was Jeff Hardy. What was he like in the background, man? We all know he's facing demons and everything. Was that pretty easy to see?
Oh yeah.
Was it? Okay. What about Matt? Was Matt facing those same demons or not really?
Nope. No, just Jeff. Funny. It was funny to wrestle Jeff because you'd hit him this way and he'd fall that way. He was like Gumby. I compare him to Gumby. Okay, this is me at 61.
Wow. All right.
230, 32-inch waist.
Uh-huh.
And then I got hurt.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Son of a gun. I gotta go do a couple of push-ups, man.
Yeah. Oh, talking about the fans.
Yes.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, here. A fan did this and emailed it to me. That's all 8 titles that I won in my 7 years.
Nice.
Yep. The only one's missing is American Gladiator title.
Okay.
But a fan did that, and
Yeah.
I can't even thank him or pay him for it, or
Right.
it's because it just flew over Messenger on the Rico Constantino appreciation page. There's a gentleman in South Korea named Terry Jong who runs the page, and I tell him, I said, if you make any money, you keep it. But he keeps me in the limelight, updates photos, and sends, fans have questions. They come to me and I answer the fans back. A lot of people, is this really Rico? I said, yeah, it's really Rico.
Well, Rico, thank you so much, Mr. Constantino, for making the time to be on here on Wrestling Rehab. It was just an honor and a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you so much, because these conversations, have at least people like me just relive, our childhood and seeing what we saw. And it's just, it's cool, man. It really gets us in touch with our childhood. So just thank you so much, sir.
Well, and thank you to your fans. I'm sorry I didn't get to see the comments because I got to keep it at a certain level with the StreamYard. But I appreciate all your friends. Thank you for stopping in. I hope I've inspired you guys. Like I said,
definitely,
when somebody tells you no and you believe in your heart you can, you just do it. Just do it.
And we will leave it right there, junkies. Cholo Trucker Wrestling Rehab for my man, the stylist, Rico Constantino.
There's the man right there. The truck is right there.
We'll catch you guys next time.